Good evening. This is a meeting of the Inland Wetlands Commission of the Town of Monroe on Wednesday, June 10th, 2020 at approximately 7. Does anybody have the exact time?
7:06.
7:06.
7:06.
Thank you. 7:06. This is a remote meeting on the GoToMeeting app. In attendance tonight, we have, and I'm going to run down in order of who's in attendance on my screen. We have our referring attorney, Barbara Schellenberg. We have Clark Gingras, our commissioner. Denise Halstead, our IWC agent. Commissioner BJ Hall. Recording secretary, Sarah Stroud. Commissioner James Stewart. And myself, Lois Spence. I am the vice chair, acting as chair for the moment.
And
Okay.
Land Use Office Manager, Donna Szynski.
Thank you. You were not on the list for some reason, Donna, maybe because you're the organizer. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Order of meeting. Let me see. This is a time for general public participation for any. We don't have any hearings tonight, so I guess it's general participation for whatever some member of the public would like to bring to our attention. Is there anybody that would like to do so?
I thought there were some public that was going to speak.
Well, no one is, so
Okay.
Okay. All right. Get another few seconds. All right. Hearing none, we will move on to section B of the agenda, regulated activities, subdivision report, recommendations to P&Z, we have none. Regular meeting, we have none. Public hearing, we have none. Next brings us to enforcement, section C, NOV discussions. This is IWV 2019-15, 1380 Monroe Turnpike, disturbance within an upland review area. And this is a 6-day time extension.
yes, they're extended. They requested, and the commission granted an extension until the next meeting. So there won't be a discussion on that tonight.
Okay. Moving on, we have no remediation submissions. Application hearing determinations, we have none. Under other, we have 191-05, 71 Turkey Roost Road, pasture issue and mud.
Okay. On the jump drive, I think we
Yeah.
I got a phone call from Robert Dunbar. The horses over, he's got the pastures over by his barn. There's the 3 of them that are north of that pond on his property. The mud has gotten.
What
It's
what
under
address is
71
this?
Turkey Roost.
Okay, I just want to get it up on the thing here.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. So he rotates the horses, but right now the mud has gotten so thick, it's good 18 to 24 inches. So he wanted to know whether he could put some asphalt, oh my God, aggregate in to try to mix it in with the mud so that the horses and they won't sink. So I went back to the original approval that we had, which was I-9105. And one of the things I found in the file was prepared by Land Tech Consulting Incorporated, was a paddock management plan. And I went and I read through that. And one of the areas it talked about high traffic areas subject to soil erosion will be stabilized with gravel or sand as required. So I'm bringing this up because it's kind of what he's asking to do, and part of the management practice that had been approved has that as one of the line items. So I'm basically wanted to discuss with you as to, can he do this? Does he need a permit for it? That sort of thing. And I did scan the paddock. I think that's the overall view of his property. So you could see the pond, and then you see the barn to the structure. Those 3 paddocks, that area is where he's discussing. Let me turn my phone off. Okay, Keith just said he's having trouble logging in, so that's why he's not on yet.
Okay.
So those are the 3 paddocks that are north of the pond. And then behind it, I could see Donna just brought up the paddock management plan. And it's on the 2nd page, Donna, under management actions.
All right.
There we go. So, nope, page 2. Okay, I lied. 1st page. I guess I didn't number the 1st page. Right there, high traffic is under number 2. High traffic areas shall be subject to soil erosion, will be stabilized with gravel or sand as required.
Okay.
So the question was, can he add some to his pastures in order to make the mud not so deep for his horses?
Well, there's a difference between gravel and sand and aggregate. Gravel
I
and
said
sand,
aggregate. I mean, we talked about gravel. I started saying asphalt in the beginning, and I was like, whoa, no. I got
oh, he is
asphalt.
talking gravel?
Gravel is what he had asked for, yes.
Is there anything else in the plan that also addresses it?
I spoke to Mr. Dunbar, and I do see that he is online. I told him to call in. Okay, Keith just said he's in. He does rotate the paddocks. So that's being done because that was one of the questions I had. Yeah, I mean, everything, the regrading of the paddock surface, they talk about in order to maintain sheet flow of runoff. Now, one of the things he mentioned to me is in the center of the paddocks, if you look at that aerial really well, you could kind of see where the pond used to be years ago. That's a little bit silty, and that's kind of the area. So it's if he puts in, and I don't have a way of pointing. Because I don't think
Guys, I'm
But there's-
on now.
Okay.
With the cursor. An arrow.
Can you see up there? Nope, you have it. Okay, right where you are, Donna, that's good. That's the area where the pond used to extend. And so so when he puts in some gravelly, we kind of like to bring it up and try to change the sheet flow so it's not, everything grades down into that area, which is another reason why it's so muddy in that area.
Any idea how much gravel we're talking about here?
No, I do not know how much gravel, but you know, it is 18 to 24 inches of muck right now. So I'm not saying to add 18 to 24 inches, but trying to mix it with the soil to kind of help. You know, the horses could get, I remember doing a review for another town where horses, if their hoofs are wet, they could get a disease. So, you know, we don't want that to happen either. Not only could they break a leg because they're sinking so far, but they could get diseased. They could get hoof disease, I think it's called. I'm not a horse person, but I do remember doing research on it.
So it sounds like the addition of gravel is definitely a positive thing. The question being, does it require further permitting or some level of approval?
Right, because under the management, the paddock management plan, I mean, it does talk about that. So I don't know if it falls underneath, do we constitute it as being part of the management plan that was approved back in 1992?
I think if he's going to significantly change the grade, then he probably needs to show us what he's proposing. If he's just going to, you know, put a truck or two in there, it's not going to change the grade, and it sounds like he can do that.
I would tend to agree with that.
Okay, because like I said, it kind of depresses in the center, which is, you know, the area that it gets really deep with the muck. So if
Yeah,
he
well-
adds it there,
Yeah, if he's gonna fill in a hole, then I think that's fine. If he's gonna raise the whole thing up a
Okay.
foot,
now I do know, I mean, this is just a discussion. I do know that the owner is online.
Yeah, I'm
If-
here.
If you had a question for him, I mean, this is discussion, so I don't know if that's allowed.
If you're going to speak, could you please state your name?
Oh, sure. This is Robert Dunbar, 71 Turkey Roost Road.
Are we allowed to ask questions of Mr. Dunbar?
Yeah, this is just a discussion. This isn't an application. We're just, they're looking for guidance from the commission.
So my initial question would be, how much gravel are you planning to put down to fill in that hole?
That's a hard question to determine right now. I just figure it would be a couple truckloads to get it at least where the pastures are usable. They're becoming so muddy that they are unusable at this period of time. It sinks down to, like Denise said, about 18 inches to 2 feet. Right now, we've been kind of having a drought, but as soon as rains come, the pastures become unusable again. So I guess I'm just trying to get it where the grade is not falling to the middle of that pasture.
So you would be bringing it back to the original grade.
Correct.
Okay. Then,
And one of the things that's happened over the time, because the pond used to go all the way down to where that cottage is. So over the years, what they did is they took the silt from the pond and filled in that area. It's kind of settled over the years, and that they just put mud in there.
Mm.
So it's kind of settled. It's kind of settled over the years.
the restoration of the original grade.
Yes.
Okay. That answers my question.
Do you have any plans for, or ideas, thoughts on how to grade the other areas so that they don't continually drain into that? Because it seems to me that's going to be a recurring problem unless the drainage paths are changed.
I think if it was brought to where the original grades were from when it was originally finalized back in '92, that I think it never happened over time. Over time, it did not always get this muddy. I think over time, as the areas where they filled in kind of settled in, that's what happened. So I think if we just bring it to where it was before, there was no issues.
I found some old plans of that area, and it looks like the elevation there was 376. That whole area was level.
Hmm. Was that the only area that was filled with silt?
Yes.
Okay, so it was basically filled with wetland soils, which don't drain.
Exactly.
That's why we have the problem.
what kind of gravel are you proposing? Are you just gonna put bank run gravel? Are you putting in trap rock? What do you propose to put in?
Well, we were thinking of put some rock, gravel and rock in there to get a little bit more firm, and then put some soil, regular soil on top of it, and then seed it and have grass grow there. Pretty much tailings.
Wait a minute, tailings is asphalt, is it not?
No.
What is tailings then?
Yeah, tailings is when you do screening of like topsoil, and you have one product is the topsoil, and the other is the byproduct of the screening.
I mean, like rocks and sticks and that kind of thing?
Not sticks, but more rocks and bigger, like some soil in there with it.
So you'd have a layer of gravel and then a layer of tailings and then a layer of topsoil to be seeded?
Correct.
Well, could you give us a quantity of gravel you want to bring in? Not to exceed at this point without talking to us?
I'm really not sure. I thought it would be maybe about 500 yards or so.
Have you spoken to a professional, an engineer type of thing that could give you a good estimate on what would be needed?
Well, Dave Bjorklund is online. He is our engineer.
How big is this paddock area?
About 2 to 3 acres.
Hmm. I don't know, this is a hard one.
So it's about 100,000 square feet.
Yeah.
And how many yards of material did you say? 100?
About maybe about 400 to 500.
$15,000.
40. 1, 2, 3, 160 by 2, 3.
So I'm only getting an inch or two of material.
Well, it's only
The map is way off.
Was your plan to put it within the entire paddock area or mostly within the central portion?
we're really looking to put it in the portion that's really sunken in, which is
Right.
the middle portion.
Okay, but is the middle portion the one that's 2 to 3 acres?
The whole pasture area is about 2 to 3 acres. 2 acres. But it's really the middle area we're looking to raise up and
Okay.
make level with the rest of the pasture area.
Okay, so about how much of the area that you want to raise up? About how big an area is that?
Maybe half acre.
Or half acre? Jim, that changes your map.
Yeah, because if I
Not
interject,
much.
if I look at the old maps of that area, it's about 160 by 160. It's a half an acre.
Oh, okay.
It's a half an acre.
Half an acre, yeah, just that kind of that area. Maybe it goes just a little further.
Maybe my thoughts on how big it was off.
Well, I'm just looking at the middle area.
Oh, okay.
I'm not looking at the whole thing. I'm just looking at where the pond went into your paddocks.
Gotcha.
So that's about 6 inches of material. Still, not a lot. So I mean, I'm okay with 500, up to 500 yards. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but 6 inches doesn't seem like that much.
I would agree.
Yeah, it looks, that's under his management plan anyway, so I mean, it's not really anything we have to worry about.
If there's no change to, or let's say if the goal is to bring it back to the original grade, I don't see what requirement would be that we'd be involved in that.
I'm just concerned that it may not fix the issue because you're still not going to create more drainage. It's
No,
still go.
well, I tend to agree. I don't know that it's going to actually fix the issue. Because if it's poorly drained soil, that's a small amount. It'll probably get just mixed in with the mud.
Mm-hmm.
Are you proposing to put any drainage in, any curtain drains or catch basins or anything?
We have not discussed that yet, no.
That might be a good way to go to check it out at least, because my gut feeling is poorly drained soil does not become drained just by putting rock in it. It's still going to.
Lois, we see it's a good idea until he decides to do it and take the pipe to the pond.
It takes what?
I see. We think it's a good idea until he decides to do it and he takes the pipe all the way to the pond to get it grade. And then all of a sudden we got horses pooping and water running off into the pond.
This is true.
Also, there is a pipe going under those pastures.
Yes, there is. I could verify, look at the maps. There is a pipe that's going under that does go to the pond.
It connects the two ponds.
Actually, it goes away from the, hold on, elevation 370. Yeah, it's draining away from the pond. It's draining to the wetlands that are further back.
And then there's also an easement from the town, from the Hammertown Estates that comes down from there as well. What we're going to probably try to do is experiment with small patches to determine what type of gravel to put in there.
Yeah. Well, you might want to talk to someone about putting down some fabric or something, to separate the two. Some geotextile fabric or something, because if you just drop it in there, it might just disappear. I mean, you add 6 inches of stone, even clean stone in 2 feet of mud, and you end up with nothing unless it's just not running off.
Horses' hooves would go right through filter fabric, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, true.
Well, that's one of the biggest problems in trying to put in certain things. Like you can't have certain drainage in there, or I mean, because you don't want the horses stepping on it.
Right.
And you're causing issues where they could break their leg that way.
Well. How about, I mean, this is aside from going to an application, full-fledged application, we want to just do the 500 yards, or I'm really at a loss.
I think if he wants to try it, I can't imagine he's going to truck 500 yards in there if he doesn't see that a few truckloads don't work in a small area. So I'm good with allowing him up to that much, and if he needs more, he can come see us.
And one of the key things is, this is the first time we've even talked to the wetlands, and it's been over 20 years since this was done. So it took 20 years for it to settle. So it was good up until a few years ago, probably about the last 5 years deteriorated. So it lasted for a long period of time with the horses on it for a long period of time.
Were there any changes that were made that could have precipitated this?
Excuse me, can you repeat the question?
Were were there any changes that happened like 5 years ago that would have made this happen? I mean, because it did the water table come up?
No,
I don't know why all of a sudden, after 20 years, all of a sudden it happened. So
no, we
I'm
noticed
just
over,
curious.
we had noticed over years that there had been, the ground there had started settling.
Hmm.
We set out to design a stealth electric bike. What's so sexy?
Like, let us try the 500 yards. If that doesn't work, then we'll come back and see if we need to put any more in.
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that rather than putting 500 yards in the entire half acre, that's muddy, to start with a smaller amount on a smaller portion of the field and see, like just divide it in, I don't know, take a half of that and see if half the amount of rock, like 250 yards of rock on half of the muddy area, if that works, then you're not putting good money after bad or bad money after good, whatever that phrase is. I don't know if that's a doable plan.
Have you looked into this, these mud control grids that they sell?
No, I haven't heard of those before. And I've been working with horses for 30-some years.
They look like they're more for probably walkway.
What kind of grid are they, Jim? That's
They're like,
Interesting.
it looks like a plastic rubber grid. You lay down and you put sand in between it or something, and it supports the ground so that they over top of it.
Isn't that okay for like when you gotta drive over a lawn area, like utility paths and whatnot? I think that would break.
Yeah.
You
Well,
think it would break?
Yeah,
Well,
it's thin plastic. I've seen what I know what he's talking about. They're used to, like, so you can drive a vehicle over like a grass, they can grow grass in an area and drive a truck. A lot of times where there's like utility pads on the side of the road, they gotta bring
Yeah.
a truck in there, but they want it to be grass. I think that's what those are. Thin plastic.
well, no, they're selling this actual stuff for horses.
What's for horses?
Yeah, horse paddock footing grid.
Well, I do have a question. Doesn't the state allow us to maintain our pastures so the horses don't get hurt under the agricultural laws?
I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just wondering if you gave it a thought.
My fear of putting any type of plastic or anything in there, if the horse does dig it up or anything happens, the horse steps on it, they're going to break a leg.
Again, I'm good with him trying his either 250 or 500 yards. If Lois is good with it, and we go on. Over a half an acre, it's not very much, and that's, Denise, that's just the center portion, you're saying.
Correct. That's just the center portion.
So if it's spread out, I don't think you'll see it. You'll see it when he's done.
Keith, do you want to take a poll of what the commission thinks for this?
Yeah, I mean, if, are we all in favor of allowing maintenance with up to 500 yards of material? Hello?
But it's,
I would say yes. This is BJ.
Yes. Favor?
Yes. Mr. Stewart here.
okay with me.
Okay with me, Clark?
Yeah, it's okay with me.
I think that's everybody. Right,
It is.
DJ?
I'm good with it.
All right, that's everybody.
Okay. Denise, is that good for you?
Yep, that's fine
I-
with me.
Can't
Thank you guys.
You're saying, Keith.
Someone's got technical. Is that Lois trying to speak?
Yeah, I don't know who that is. That's,
It's Lois.
oh, okay.
All right, where did we even pick, I don't know where we are. I hear it about 15 after.
Okay.
Hello? Donna?
Lois, are you there? Can you hear? No. Okay. So we were at we just did item E, other 71 Turkey Roost Road. So we would be on to the deliberating session. Item F.
Okay. Deliberation sessions, we don't have any, right? There's nothing.
Correct.
Yeah, so we're on to bond release, right?
Correct.
Okay, so IWC 2014-09, 36 Timothy Hill Road, remaining bond release requested.
Okay.
Let me see. Where's Jim Stewart? Jim, do you remember how I can give her the con here?
You don't want control, Donna?
Come on, Donna.
I just can't remember how to give it to her.
I don't know.
You know, if you just go into that report I sent you,
Okay.
that
Will
should
do.
be, that should be good for the start.
Please hold.
Denise, do you want
Pardon?
to just bring us up to speed on that? Is that what we're waiting for?
Yeah, so,
Hold on. I
All right.
have it up. I just need to, okay. Share my screen.
I have Barbara on for questions on the, if we, the legal, for the last meeting we had. So, was out there. Fortunately, somebody else went out 2 days after I did because I had a little accident out there. I don't have control of it.
Hold on.
Oh, now I do. Do I? No.
Provide holds the correct outputs. That's the way the holds work. Well, he's calling for change.
Oh, never mind. Now I remember how to do it. Hold on.
Okay. So, well, Donna's giving me control. So the commission had asked to take a look at the bridge that was removed, if there was any silt fence or any of the orange construction fence out there.
Okay, you now have control, Denise.
Okay. How do I? It just gives me a screen, but it doesn't give me access to, oh, here we go. No?
All right, forget it. Just there it is. Sorry.
Is the lawnmower loud again, my neighbor? Could you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. So the question that the commission had asked is, was the bridge removed? Was the silt fence removed? Was the orange fence removed? So walking on the pathway, we refer to the two bridges. Bridge 1 is what's technically over on Cambridge Drive, and Bridge 2, which is on 36. So the photo that we had last time that was taken back in March, April timeframe kind of showed a hole of water. The photos in this report are a little bit clearer. Because there was water in the hole, I think what had happened is that when they removed, they didn't realize that there were still some timbers in the wetland. So the photos show that there were a couple timbers that are still where the crossing was. Oh, did you do that, Donna? No, okay, yes, you did. There's still a couple timbers that are within the bridge area. They must have been under the mud. Silt fence is gone, orange fence is gone. Now, there has been some seeding done in the area as well. The bridge, the planking that was removed was placed upland of the site. Been verified now that it is outside of the 100-foot upland review area. So my question that said they were removed and potentially piled within the upland review, it's been verified that it's outside of the upland review area. So, you know, there's still a couple timbers that have remained where the bridge crossing 2 was. There we go. So the question is, what do we want to do?
So what's left behind is a couple logs. Is that that's correct, Denise?
It looked like, it appeared that the bridge must have been double layer, so they removed everything on the top, but there were a couple that delineated the outer limits of it that are still in there and kind of buried a little bit in the dirt.
Are they just regular oak timbers, or are they pressure treated? Do you know? Are they creosote railroad ties?
No, they don't look like railroad ties.
I think they're natural logs. It was
I mean, it was
like a
supposed to be a
corridor.
wood mat when the bridge was done, so. I mean, if you, in the thing, there's the pile of what was removed. You could kind of look at that and maybe get an idea. But it definitely wasn't pressure treated.
I mean, normally they just use oak beams that they lay down, so it doesn't sound like a big deal.
It's milled wood, or is it just logged?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a log.
So
I mean, it's not round.
They would square it up?
Yes, it's actually squared up.
Okay. Right.
So, you know, planer was used to it, even if it is a.
I think Lois is trying
I'm still having a lot of internet difficulty. Hopefully you guys can. Can you hear me? I'm having internet difficulties again. Okay. Do the logs go across the flow, or do they go with the flow?
They go with the flow, not across the flow. But what had been across the flow was all that was removed. And in the photos that I had on the drive, they're with the flow, and there's one on either side. So they're parallel with the wetlands.
if I might, there is a, in Kevin Soley's letter regarding 64 Cambridge, he does note in there that they intend to restore a portion of the property on 36 Timothy Hill Road. So if there's anything left over, would it potentially be let 64 Cambridge do the rest of the cleanup and let Timothy Hill out of there?
That's why I have Barbara on. I will mention, I've been starting to review that as well, BJ, and I know he mentions it, but quick peruse of the drawings, I don't see anything on any drawings. So he calls it out, which is great, but he needs to follow it up with something too.
Okay. That sounds worth mentioning.
Yeah.
We want to, what about the part about where his pond is covering the other bridge that's on his property?
That's why Barbara's on the line.
Want to get to that point now?
Sorry, Barbara.
Barbara?
That's okay. What is the question? I mean, if it's the issue of who
Barbara,
is
just
the
state your name
owner.
again. State your name for the record.
I'm sorry, Barbara Schellenberg, Land Use Council. My understanding, and tell me if there's a different question, this gets back to, who owns the property, which I don't believe is the proper issue from a legal standpoint. The question is, what does the bond require? When the property was sold, that was an issue between buyer and seller to work out. That's not the town's issue from a legal standpoint. Now, as the commission, you have the discretion to do what you want. But I'm just telling you from a legal standpoint, I don't believe that the ownership of the property is the key issue. The question is, who's responsible on the bond to do the work?
So if the bond covered both properties and the work on both properties, it still covers that property and can be used to restore it,
Correct.
no matter who owns it.
That's right. What I'm saying is that should have been something dealt with in the negotiations when the property was being sold. It's really an issue between buyer and seller. And I understand it has a complication, but what I'm saying is that's really not the town's issue from a legal standpoint. Nevertheless, the commission has the discretion to do what it wants to do in that regard.
So let me ask this question, Barbara. So he now there's two bridges involved. One of them is on his property. The other one is on his neighbor's property. Okay, the bond covers the removal of both of them. The neighbor will not allow him, let's just say the neighbor would not allow him to go over on his property and remove the other bridge. That's just for whatever reason. Now, this bond has to stand in forever until the neighbor decides to do something, if ever.
That's between the property owners. I'm saying from a legal standpoint, the commission is not required to release the bond due to those circumstances. They should have dealt with that issue at the time that the property was sold. However, the commission has the discretion if that's what the commission desires to do. But I can't tell you that you have to, because I don't think you do.
Go ahead, Clark. You're on mute, though.
Yeah, no, hey, Denise, so
Yeah.
all that's left is those two beams?
All that's left are the two beams.
Then I don't see any problem. I make a motion that we release the bond. If they're not
Properties,
blocking the
Denise?
flow of the wetlands,
Oh, hold on.
then that wood's gonna rot. It's not pressure treated, right? You said it does not
It's
look like
not pressure treated. No, it's not pressure treated.
that wood's gonna be rotten in another couple years. It's gone. It's gonna just dissolve. So, I mean, that's all that's left. You said they took care of everything else.
Yes, of bridge 2. Bridge 1. Now, just to,
So the other bridge is not removed?
it's not removed, but the other bridge turned out to be on 64 Cambridge, which was not known
I thought you said
until
the other bridge was gone. Okay.
Yeah, and no, it was not known until recently that it was on the other property because it was never built in the correct position from what was planned when the bond was done. So there's a whole series of things that we need to,
We just notify him, we can't release the bond until you finish the work. Take
it's
the
on
other
someone
bridge
else's
out.
property.
It doesn't matter. I mean, that's part of the bond. The original owner had 2 bridges, had both property. They gotta fix it.
Anybody else have any comments on this issue? Jim?
I'm good. I'm good. Do you want me to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman?
Let me ask one question.
Who's that? Sorry.
It's Dave Bjorklund.
Okay. No?
Is it all right if I speak?
Hold on, Dave, for just a second.
He's not allowed to speak.
Deliberations, aren't they?
Yeah, he's not allowed to speak in this.
No,
Yeah,
not during deliberations.
there was the public comment section in the beginning. Everybody usually chooses not to speak. Public participation.
Let me ask one question now. So I know we're gonna, you're talking about keeping the bond because the other bridge hasn't been done. We have 20,000 for that one other bridge. Do we want to reduce it from the 20,000 for the one bridge? Because at one time it was 20 was for the 2 bridges.
So that's the only work on the other property to do?
Yes, it's the bridge, yes.
But I mean, all silt fence, everything else has been restored
Well,
off the second property.
There's still, I can't control the silt fence and the orange fence there because CARP is putting it up to keep people off their properties.
But it
So
wasn't
he's
put up
adding-
due to the construction.
It's due to the construction, so.
Let me ask this question. In the property at 36, Timothy Hill, it's still access where the other bridge is, or is it been blocked off?
I lost them.
Is both, my question is, you went out there and you saw the first bridge has been mostly removed?
The second bridge, I call it the second bridge. The first
Second
bridge is,
bridge.
yeah.
Can you reasonably move a piece of equipment from where the second bridge is to the first bridge and take that out? And take out the other bridge? Or is there is there a barrier in the way? Does it have to be access?
The only way to get to that the first bridge would be from Timothy Hill because they have put so many mountains and barricades over at the end of Independence that the terrain is very tough. I fell down it, so I know.
Okay.
I mean, they've made the height of it even higher than it was last time, and there's more mounds. They've layered it and they've pushed it further into the right of way now.
Okay.
So the only way that bridge could get to would have to be through 36 Timothy, and not. Yeah, I mean, unless they came up from the quarry and worked their way up there, which, I mean, they probably could do that, but that's not.
So in order though to make this thing go away, that bridge has to be removed. And I'm thinking out loud, like, I know I could have that thing out of there before 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, and this whole thing would be over. It's right. Like, I have a machine, I put it in the back, I go over there,
yank it out and be done with it.
Voluntary, for free, happy to do it, but put this thing to rest. Like, I'm sitting here going, this is so easy, to solve, but, I don't want to.
It's just that 1036 be trespassing on 64, because that's really what's going to happen.
Okay, so is 10,000 is more than enough to remove that bridge then?
More than enough.
Okay,
More
so
than
I make a motion, we reduce the bond to 10,000 and hold the remaining bond until such time as they remove the second bridge.
Well, in all fairness, if someone, anybody would jump at $2,500 to go in there for 3 hours and pop those logs out of the way, that bridge out of the way.
I agree with you, but it's got to be enough that someone's willing to call their neighbor and get it done. I mean, they can come back in a month. If they come back and show me a letter to their neighbor saying, I want to remove it, and the neighbor responds no, then we can decide whether it's worth issuing a notice of violation or something. But until then, I think they should be pushed along.
You got a motion open there, Jim?
Yes. Wait.
Try and move this thing along.
Yeah. Was someone seconding the motion?
BJ seconded the motion.
All right, we got a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Is everybody, Lois? And aye?
Yeah, did you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, all right. So
Yes.
motion passes unanimously.
Who was the second?
BJ.
BJ. Okay, the next one is IWC 2015-18, 46 Cutler's Farm Road, release of $5,000 bond requested.
What, Donna?
No, it's fine. Let me just go back. There's no issue with 46 Cutler's
No, I
Farm.
don't. I didn't put anything on the jump drive for it.
Right.
I've been out to 46 Timoth. Oh my God, 46 Cutler. Everything's been done, so I'm recommending that you could release it.
Okay.
The last
Which
thing he had to do
one-
was see in the wetland markers, and they've been up for several months now.
Okay.
Make a motion that we release the $5,000 bond.
We have a motion to pick Commissioner Gingras,
Second, Stewart.
second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Lois, did you say aye?
Yeah, I did.
All right, because we can't see you, so I'll just confirm. All right,
Okay.
motion passes unanimously. Time extension, IWC 2019-08R, 4 Maple Drive. Time extension requested to September 1st, 2020 to complete phase 1 work as contained in the Inland Wetlands Notice of Decision dated July 24th.
Now, what happened on that is that they were supposed to finish it, but then COVID happened. There was a whole bunch of things that happened, but this is one of those things where they did ask in the proper amount of time. Unfortunately, we were not having meetings. So this is one of those things that if the commission wanted to grant the time extension, they could.
I have a question. Was anything done on this remediation so far?
Yes.
Okay, so the only thing left is the plantings?
I don't know. I don't know if Denise has been out there, but I know that they've placed their bond. They've met their conditions.
We just had the
So they are
pre-construction meeting.
Yeah, they've had the pre-construction meeting, so I don't think it would be unreasonable to grant this time extension again.
So there has been good faith?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I move to grant the extension.
I second it.
Motion from Commissioner Spence, second by Commissioner Gingras. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Now I do have, and we kind of skipped this part at the beginning, but I do have another time extension request that I received that needed to be added to the agenda.
Oh, sorry.
I know, no, it's okay. I know this has been tough. It is, it's
Well, let's
for
vote to add it,
IW.
right?
I'm sorry. Say again?
Go ahead. You have the floor.
Okay. So, this is for IWC 2019-11. It's for 422 Fan Hill Road, and it's Kieran. And unfortunately, this gentleman needs extra time to complete his condition A. Jay Keeler was his engineer and was passed very suddenly. He was supposed to be coming back and taking care of this. So the owner is now having to find new engineering, new people to get this, unfortunately. So he's asking to December 9th to get this together and be able to bring his professionals up to speed.
What time is he asking to?
So I'll tell you.
December.
Is it December or September?
December. So it says our engineer, he's requesting a time extension to December 9th. Our engineer, Jay Keeler, died suddenly and unexpectedly on Friday, May 22nd in Florida. On Saturday, May 30th, I was advised by Mr. Keeler's wife of the details of his sudden and unexpected death. He was expected back to Connecticut in late May and was commencing the final work required for conditions to be addressed within 270 days of his approval. And unfortunately, that will not be the case now. And he's also finding that with COVID, that his finances were also affected by this. So he's in a little bit of financial difficulty. So that is why he's asking for the extension.
Which property is this now?
This
Can
is
we legally do it?
422 Fan Hill Road.
It's a residence?
It is just yes.
It's a proposed house.
Yeah, it's just a house, but again, this is one of those things that there are extensions coming down the timeline that because we didn't have meetings for 3 months, he would have come back and said, oh, hey, and then Jay dying, unfortunately.
I don't have a problem with that time extension.
If it's a proposed house and there's no work being done to build a house
Right.
to impact the property, I don't see a problem.
Correct.
Do we have any
Right,
legal
they're not doing
constraints when it comes to?
What, fellows?
Do we have? Are we within our legal time frame to grant an extension?
What is the timing on this? I mean, it's not clear to me what type of matter this is and when it came in.
I don't think that it requires a legal, this is just, the time frame is something that the commission sets. So this isn't a legal issue. So I think,
okay,
if the commission feels strongly enough that they want to grant this,
So this was, I just want to clarify, this was just a time limit that the commission set to get the work done.
Correct. It's not a statutory
Okay, yes,
time
and the
frame.
commission definitely has discretion to grant whatever extension it wishes.
Yep.
okay, good.
All right, so are we
Okay,
voting on it?
Okay, motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thanks, Lois. Go ahead.
Yeah, a motion from Lois Spence, second.
Second,
All right, Commissioner Stewart, all in favor, say aye.
I,
All right, motion passes unanimously.
Clark, were you in on that?
Yes, I voted yes. I
Okay.
muted.
All right, now to G. Agent approvals. You want to just go through those, Denise?
Sorry, I had to turn my mic on. Sure. So IAA 2020-11, 90 Old Fish House Road. This is the construction of the pedestrian bridge for the Eagle Scout project. I don't know if you remember when Corey Barber came in, maybe last year.
Yeah, I
So
do.
now he has all the fundings now, and so he's proceeding forward. IAA 2020-12, 596 Fan Hill Road is for a pool. IAA 2020-13, 500 Pepper Street. That's what we discussed last week. This is for the minor changes to the approval. Then we had permitted uses as of right. IPU 2018-01, Department of Public Works for road repair, replacement, and our general maintenance. Inland Wetlands Regulation Section 4.2C, expiration date 3/28/2023. IPU 2010 for 27 Joan Drive, removal of 2 dead trees.
Now we have enforcement deliberations, which we have nothing under complete remediation submissions. Complete items from this agenda, nothing, right? Nothing here, right? All right,
Correct.
correct, all right.
Right.
So let's just go over to general discussions. The minutes of
Can I interject?
Sure, Lois, go ahead.
I have a question and something I wanted to talk about with the commission. I don't know if anybody has gotten a chance to look at the application for 64 Cambridge, the huge packet that Donna sent us. It is extensive. It covers fixing 10 years worth of work on their part. And I don't know if any of us has enough expertise to really properly review that application, because we don't have the kind of people that we don't have the expertise that we need. My suggestion is that we approach Southwest Conservation District, which is, I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but it is a group within Connecticut. There's five conservation districts in Connecticut that will review with all of the experts required. So they will bring in wetland biologists, they'll bring in geologists if they need it, they'll bring in engineers. They have a team that's amazing, and they review it for free. I would feel a whole lot better if this was reviewed by real professionals other than the ones that the applicant is proposing. The other thing is that we do have the right in our regs and by the general statute to ask for expert opinion outside of the one that the applicant is proposing. This particular approach would not cost the applicant anything. The other approach, the applicant pays for. And I think it would be a wise approach to do. There is enough time to
Lois,
review it.
Just go back again, explain to me again, and maybe to everybody else, the difference between cost-free versus a cost. Which one is free to us and which one is a cost to the developer, the applicant?
The Southwest Conservation District
Yep.
is free. It
Free.
is designed to help Connecticut municipalities with their complex applications. They've got other jobs too, but that is one of the things that they do.
Okay. Go with the other option for us to get other advice that would be a
The The other option is to ask the applicant, and not ask, you can,
Oh, it's,
I'm sorry, what?
no, go ahead. You had cut out, so
The other option is to require. What? Yeah, I'm having trouble on my end. I don't know if it's
think
strictly
what
me or
she's-
if it's somebody else too.
I think what she's
Um,
trying to say is
The
that-
other option,
No, go ahead, if it's working again.
Lois, why don't we let Denise
is it? I don't
explain?
know.
If Denise explains it the way you were gonna say it, just give us a thumbs up. All right, go ahead, Denise.
Okay,
Okay. The other way is in our regulations where we hire someone to do the review and the applicant pays for that independent review.
Okay.
Are we members of the Southwest Conservation District?
As a matter of fact, we are, and I know that the first selectman recently did a donation to them, so we're in good standings with them right now.
Okay. Well, I've been involved with many of their reviews. They're very conservative in their reviews. So the commission will get a very thorough and conservative review from them, at least in my experience.
Is the first question here, do we feel we need to have an outside party review this? Are we in agreement that Lois proposed that?
that's what I'm proposing.
Hold on just a second. Are we at the point where this is something that we would request? Or, I mean, is this the right time to request that? It hasn't opened yet, right?
No, but it opens the end of this month, if I'm not mistaken, right, Donna?
The 24th.
But
So
when do we
it-
make that determination?
But it doesn't
during-
have to.
Sorry. My question is, when do we make that determination? Right now, after we got this stuff mailed, or do we hear from the applicant first and open the hearing?
I mean,
Yeah.
who knows how long that it's going to take them to review. So, maybe you might want them to be at the first hearing as they're doing the review too, to hear the applicant do their little,
Okay, I see. All right.
I know I'm talking for Lois. I think you're frozen again, so I'm trying to help.
Yeah, it is a big project, and I think the sooner you get it to them, the better.
Okay. I understand now.
I would agree. Given the 10-year time frame for the work, they want to import 1,304,000 cubic yards of material. This is pretty massive.
Unless we have them do their alternate,
Is that?
unless we look at their alternates.
What's the all? Let's see.
Oh, they have alternates as well. They had to submit
Another thing
alternates.
Another thing too is, the other thing that would be my concern about something like this is, what's the impact? 10 years, a lot of things happen in 10 years. People sell, different plans come forward. Like what happens if in the instance that, the property goes up for sale and it's halfway through the project. So, you know what I mean? Like I guess the approvals is how do I explain this? The approval is based on, we approve a plan, right? And let's say halfway through it, or the party that owns it decides that they're gonna, give up on it. Or they want to sell it, or they want to change it again. So
Originally.
the survivability of it.
This
Do we-
remediation goes back almost 10 years when they first originally did the work and then dropped it and left it. And now it's falling apart. It's been
Okay, I'll
sitting
make
for
a
a long
motion to
time.
submit the application materials to Southwest Conservation Commission or District for a review.
I'm sorry, that was a motion, Jim?
And I think
Yes.
a letter from the commission, whether it's Keith, really, it should come from the commission, some sort of written letter to them requesting it.
Okay.
I'm secretary. I can compose it.
Good.
Excellent.
There we go.
All right. Any, so did you make a motion, Jim?
Can
I just
anybody
did,
hear what I'm saying?
Lois, we heard that you said you were going to write a letter because you're the secretary. Is that correct?
Nod your head.
Thumbs up? Even nodding the head.
I can write the letter, yes.
Okay.
There, okay.
So the motion from Commissioner, second
Second, BJ.
from Commissioner Hall.
Yes.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, that passes unanimously.
I
Got it. So now
I
we're
have
back
one
to-
more thing I wanted to mention about that. Can you hear me at all?
Yep, go ahead.
I had one more thing I wanted to say. I don't know, hopefully I'm going to get through. We don't have to open this hearing next meeting. We have 65 days from the date of receipt to open a public hearing. That gives us more time, and it gives the Conservation District more time to examine this and to take advantage of the time that gives us. Did that come through?
Yeah, basically you said to us, we don't have to open the public hearing 65 days. Correct? Or the hearing whatsoever. It's gonna be, hey, is this the one that asked to go
Right.
straight to public hearing?
This one, and Barbara, if you're listening, the public hearing notices have gone in. One was published today, the other one will be next week. The public hearing is scheduled for June 24th. There's the 65 days is when the
Well, we
commission
can
has
change that,
to
can't we?
make the determination as to what they want to do, I believe. I don't have my
No.
my time frame
No.
here.
It's 65 days to open the hearing.
Well,
I
there's
checked
also
the
been,
statutes and
yeah, there's also been extensions of that by executive order, that time frame.
So-
But you're saying the notices are already out. I mean.
can you change the notice?
You could open the public hearing and then obviously continue it. Or you could, if you want to, yeah, I mean, if you want to cancel that and issue new notices for another date, you could do that.
My
But since
concern
they're
is,
already out, and I gather there's going to be a fair amount of public interest in this. You might want to go ahead and just, with the date that people are expecting, and open it, and then, you can continue it, obviously.
Donna, why was this not on tonight's agenda for
One
hearing?
more.
I'm sorry, Keith, what?
Donna, why was this on?
It was done last time.
Tonight's agenda for hearing determination.
It's a pending application. They already made the determination that it was actually requested by the applicant when the commission accepted it. And so but it doesn't go on. It's a pending one because it's not being addressed tonight. It's too soon
Okay.
for it to be on the agenda.
Gotcha. All right, that makes sense. All right, so now we still have anything?
I have one more comment, Keith, if I
Okay,
may.
Lois. Yep,
If I may.
you may.
One of the advantages to re-noticing it at a later date was that we might be able to hold it in person. This is not going to work. It's too spotty. It's too important an application. We can't do it remotely. If we could possibly put it off, we can do it remotely.
What is our, I don't have the
But
calendar.
it won't work anywhere near as well as an in-person presentation will do.
When's our next meeting?
Keep in mind that it could be some time, maybe longer than we think, to be able to have an in-person meeting. It's not clear when that might be able to occur.
Donna, do you have any guidelines or suggested dates when they're talking about in-person meetings again?
I have not heard anything that would, I mean, I know the governor has issued some items saying that, some people can meet, gatherings can meet, I think no more than 50.
Yeah.
I would have to double check that. It would be, I have to say, this is a big application, and I agree that it would be better in person than trying to do it over this with the amount of information that needs to be gone through. I'm not sure how the commission wants to do this. I know that the applicant or the representatives probably will not be happy about putting this off, since they seem to be wanting to get it done. We'll take the public hearing. I tried to expedite it as quickly as I could for the applicant, but again, I understand that it is a lot of information, and we could renotice it. I believe, Barbara, I might have to have a conversation with you regarding that.
Mhm.
But we would need to let the applicant know.
Right. And
So I
don't
guess-
forget, we have an intervener now as well.
Right.
Who we have to treat on the same level as the applicant, because that person is now also a party to this proceeding.
Right. So would it be better, do you think, to postpone it a little bit and get the commission's, the Northwest Conservation report, or?
Yeah, but you gotta stop bugging me,
That's really up to
please.
that's up to the commission.
No, but you're so
I
bugging.
believe I can take a look at the executive order. I think there are extensions on when these things have to be completed by. So again, you could open and continue.
Can we open it and have the professionals, like the engineer and whoever else, present so that we can hear their side, and then we can sit on it, digest it, and then hope for before the public input part comes? Do we have that kind of capability with what?
Yeah, I mean, you can continue. I mean, there's going to be, I would imagine here that obviously you've got the applicant's presentation, the applicant's experts, the commission's going to bring in its own experts. I'm guessing that the intervener is probably going to do the same. So there's going to have to be a number of presentations.
Meeting.
Yeah, we could also set it to say 90 minutes. So we take 90 minutes because we know it's going to. So in order to get them to present to us, this probably format should be fine. We say the next meeting they're going to have 90 minutes, and the following meeting, so they can keep on continuing. Follow what I'm saying? Keep on continuing it and getting little doses of it, and let it keep going. And hopefully before the public input part comes, we'll be able to do it in a room.
The other thing I do want to mention is that the schedule of the commission, you're coming up to the months of July and August when you go down to one meeting a month.
Yeah.
So, there will be a lot of time, which might work in their favor, because if you have questions.
happened.
Lois
Oh,
is still
you-
there, Lois. Huh.
I wish, I don't see it working remotely in any respect. I'm missing more than half of what's going on right now. And I'm not going to be able to get the presentation. I mean, and I've done everything I can to maximize the internet here. And if we have to do it remotely, I don't know about everybody else, but I'm going to be out in the woods.
You might need a new router, Lois.
Maybe I do. I should look into that. That's my next step then, because I'm having a terrible time.
Or you could come
Okay.
over here. I got an extra bedroom. You could sit in there.
What I'm requesting, so maybe if there's what I'm suggesting is that we just listen to their presentation at this point and not make any comments, not ask any questions. Just, they must have a long presentation. There must be people presenting very, very long things that we can ask for it to be done again at a later time, but at least we could have the time to digest it, you know, and think on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the clock starts. So as soon as the clock starts,
No.
Yeah, but don't
But we
run out
have,
of time.
I think what
We
you're
don't have
saying
any-
is we have that time. While the public hearing is for 35 days, that's what the statute says. There is the 65 days extension time also. So you can continue on to the next meeting.
No, so there's additional time. I just went and got the applicable executive order. So what it says is any time deadlines contained in the laws that may pass or expire during the public health and civil preparedness emergency are extended by an additional 90 days for any and all of the following circumstances. The commencement or completion of any public hearing, the rendering of any decision required to be made within a particular period, and the submission or reporting by any municipality to any agency or quasi-public agency. Okay, so, and that doesn't include the normal 65-day extension. So there's really 155 days altogether. You know what I mean? The applicant can
Okay.
grant other extensions. So
Okay.
so we have plenty
that's
of
why
time.
it might make sense just to, you know, as Keith said, open it on the date that everybody expects it to be open, but you know, you're due to the COVID situation, you definitely have more leeway time-wise.
Sound good, Lois?
If anybody wants to take a look, it's Executive Order number 7I. It's number, hold on. It's number 19A.
Donna.
Number
maybe you
71,
could-
Article 19.
Donna, maybe you could talk to the IT people and see if we could, if the commission wanted to meet and have the presenters come, but have the public sign in through Zoom. You know, if we could wire up the camera system up through Zoom.
Okay, I'll double check that.
That's a good
So that
idea.
we could meet in the council chambers.
Wherever.
Yeah, the public can watch it live.
Mhm.
Public can
Right.
watch it live.
Right,
Professionals
that might work. And if, you know, if everybody has the masks and is social distance from one another.
As long as it's apart, we're okay.
What?
That might not work for me.
For who?
For me,
Oh,
I refuse to
Okay.
wear a mask.
Well, you know,
No matter where I go.
you could have some of the commissioners in person and others joining remotely. I mean, there's lots
your
of ways you could potentially work it.
I'll sit in the hallway. I don't care, but I'm not. Okay, well, can I ask real, because I'm looking at schedule for meetings is an old one. I don't know what it is.
You're cutting out, Keith.
Can someone, I can't find my 2020 schedule of meetings. Could someone just rattle those off to me so I could see where, so I can plug them in on my calendar?
Yeah,
Do you have it, Donna?
Our next
I
meeting
do.
is,
Okay.
I have it here. So the next meeting is June 24th.
Yep.
July 22nd. August
Yep.
26th.
what, 2/6?
Yes, August
26th?
26th.
Okay.
Yep,
Well, that's the
and
next three
September
meetings.
9th.
And then September 9th?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So next, this now, the next 3 months, there's only 4 meetings. What's the soonest that they could be on the next meeting?
Yeah, they're on for the next meeting, the
Oh, they are?
24th. Yes.
I mean, I think that to let them speak and open it and, you know, have us, start to hear it. I think that's probably the fair thing to do. And if it ends up being, we could give it a shot. If it ends up being like it's too hard to see the displays, if we're missing it, then we'll say this isn't working. We'll try, next month.
You said, Donna, the notices are out.
Yeah.
The public hearing notices have gone, or the first one's gone out.
Yeah.
This next meeting is after, so the governor opening up phase 2, that doesn't affect anything for us. This is happening on the 17th. Question, Barbara?
I don't,
I'm not sure yet what the phase 2 orders are gonna be. I
Right.
think that, the governor is waiting to see what the numbers are, if there's any spike. So we don't know yet for sure.
And I think ultimately for us, it'd be Ken Kellogg's decision whether to allow it. Even if we were open.
right, yeah, the governor makes it and then the selectmen.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Ken could be more restrictive if he wants to.
All right, are we good with that? We'll do that.
And in the meantime, the Southwestern Conservation District will be engaged or will be addressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we determined that, correct?
Okay, yeah.
All right. Are we ready to go to the minutes?
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
Yep, minutes are next.
Minutes of March 11th, 2020. Anybody have anything to discuss? Changes?
No?
Just a minute. No, move to approve as drafted.
Motion motion to approve the minutes as drafted. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I unanimously accepted the March 11th minutes. Now on to the minutes of May 27th, 2020. Anyone?
No comments?
Move to accept as
Okay.
drafted.
Lois, are you
Move to
going to say
accept.
something? Motion to accept?
Move to accept as drafted.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Stewart. All in favor? Motion accepted unanimously.
Aye.
Minutes. The Regulation Amendment Committee? Nothing. Excellent. Public Outreach Committee?
Nothing,
All right.
nothing.
That's it, right? No other. This meeting is adjourned at 8:36 PM.